And so I want to dig into this statement that I know my listeners have heard, where we're talking about taking care of our nervous system and making sure we feel calm and we feel safe. But can you kind of explain more of what that means?
Yeah. So in the group program that I run, Strong as a Mother, I get women that into the program. I open it like every 6 to 8 weeks, and I get women that are so excited and they're ready to do it, and they join. And then by week one, they've got like the high still going, and by week two, they're like, oh, and by week three, sometimes they drop off. And the first couple of times I had ran it, I was like, why is this happening? What is going on? And I was like, oh my goodness, their bodies don't feel safe. And the thing is, and when I was thinking about prepping for this podcast today, I was trying to think of a situation. And so I'm going to kind of like tell a story to try and help you to help understand and explain the nervous system. So when you were a little girl, let's pretend that your mom just kind of, she really didn't like exercise, and she felt like exercising was punishment, and it was to burn off the cake that she ate. And you heard that a lot growing up. And the thing about our minds is that our subconscious beliefs and our subconscious like kind of what we believe to be true is formed by the age of 7. And so the things that our parents believed and the things that our parents said to us have a huge impact on what we believe to be true and possible for us as we move into adulthood, unless we are able to understand the mind and kind of rewrite those neural pathways. So you have this mom, and she's told you that moving your body is kind of painful and punishment and whatever. So you go through life, and in your 30s, you've had some kids, and you aren't necessarily like in love with your body, and so you want to move your body. You want to start working out. I call it movement because working out can kind of be like a trigger word for some women. And one of my best friends, Heidi, we talk about joyfully moving our body. Like, it's not punishment, it's not work. It's like actually like loving our bodies through movement.
Yeah.
And so I use the word movement, but you can replace it with workout or whatever. And so you're in your 30s, you want to start working out. And maybe you join the gym and you go for 2 weeks, and then your mind starts to say, like, you know what? This isn't working. I'm not seeing results. This isn't happening. Oh, you know what? I need to clean the kitchen. I've got all these other things to do. And you put that on the back burner. And that is because on a subconscious level, your body, your nervous system does not feel safe to work out. And it doesn't feel safe to work out because it's running on an old, kind of like an old, if you think of like a thermostat, it's running on like an old program of that working out is punishment. And your body on a subconscious level, it doesn't want to be punished. It doesn't want to feel pain. It doesn't want to like be in trouble or get hurt. And so the primitive part of our brain, which is what our nervous system kind of like stems from. And I'll kind of like explain the nervous system in just a second, but I kind of want to finish my story so you kind of
Perfect.
can understand. So your brain on a subconscious level is really just trying to keep you safe, right? It doesn't want to be punished. It doesn't want to be in pain. And so it's helping create those stories, and it's helping create these kind of invisible blocks that stop you from moving past that kind of story or belief and actually doing the thing that in your heart you want to do, but your brain and your body want to keep you safe.
So yes, I let me just say, yes, I fully agree. And it's interesting because I've had a couple of different guests on the podcast who've talked about this idea of the subconscious. And I, from my mindset training, also am quite familiar. And I also don't think people realize enough that there's a lot going on that
Mm-hmm.
we don't even consciously recognize. And it's that programming that
Yep.
sits in there. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and it's so powerful. Like our brains and our bodies are so connected. Like, for example, my mom growing up, my grandma, at one point, put her hand between her legs and was like, oh, it's so good that you have that gap between your thighs. And to this day, my
Oh,
mom's thighs have never touched. It doesn't matter. Like, she can add weight anywhere, but her legs will never gain. Her legs have never touched. And I know for a fact. It's just because her body will not let her gain weight on her legs. It sounds crazy to me, but when she told me that story, I was like, oh, that is why your legs are always
Oh
like
my
these little chicken legs.
gosh.
But it just goes to show you that the things that we're told as kids has a huge impact on your body and how your body responds and reacts and kind of allows what it allows to come into your life.
Wow. And as we're sitting here, so my daughter is 21 and I know that she listens to this podcast. So I'm thinking as she's listening to this, is she wondering what did I say to her when she was fewer years than 7 years old? And I don't remember. And I do wonder. I joke with my kids that, we're all human. And so I'm sure I'm kind of messing them up in some way or another, but I'm just trying not to. I'm trying to do my best, but that's young. And I'm not sure that I was cognizant of all of this when they were that young. So,
No, I mean,
yeah.
I have kids that young, and my husband and I still say that our oldest, who's 8, I'm like, he's gonna need therapy. Like, it doesn't matter like what you do, like you just can't.
We're all human, so nobody beat themselves up. Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah. But it's the recognition of this is the first step, I think, for sure. So,
Mhm.
okay, so you said we'll talk about the nervous system. So
Yeah.
let's go into that a little bit.
So the nervous system is the system in our bodies that, like I said, is designed to keep us safe. So we have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is the system that comes into play when thousands of years ago there was a saber-toothed tiger, and it tells your body to either freeze, fight, flee, or fawn. Is basically, which is freeze, but it basically kind of signals our body that there is a threat and that it surges cortisol in your system, and then you kind of have like that reaction. And then your parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. And that's where you're calm, your heart rate is slower, and your reaction time is less. And it's basically where you're just calm and collected. Now, the
Mhm.
thing to understand is that we live in a society right now where most people are operating in their sympathetic nervous system. I don't want to say all of the time, but a majority of their time. You get a stressful work email, your kids are screaming because they're, hungry, or there's a tantrum, or you log on to Instagram or Facebook and you see a world event that happens. Like, we are constantly bombarded with stress. And from like a physiological level, it's hard on our nervous system, but it also messes up your hormones. I mean, it's like a kind of like a whole cascade waterfall effect of the I don't know if I can say that word, ramifications.
There you go.
Um, yeah, I switched it to constantly being in your sympathetic nervous system. And if you aren't aware of like the two systems and kind of what they do, you can just constantly stay in there and never really know that, oh my goodness, I need to do some things for myself so that I can switch over to that parasympathetic state and feel really calm and kind of bring myself back down.
And maybe it's better decision making, I'm guessing, when you can bring yourself back down. Your brain is not being thrown all these stress hormones and that sort of thing.
Yep. Yep. You're able to like use more like logical or rational thinking rather than like reactive and like quick quick decision making.
Right. Right.